My wife's business venture failed, leaving us in debt by $2 million. I gave up my dream of becoming a painter and took a job as a security guard to help her pay off the debt. But then, I saw her releasing sky lanterns at an auction, apparently to buy a sports car worth tens of millions to give to the man she considers perfect. Everyone at the scene said, "Alara is so generous to Lysander. It's truly enviable. The woman who told me she couldn't afford the rent is now spending money so recklessly." Standing at the auction in my security guard uniform, I stared at Alara on stage, speechless. The manager kicked me angrily. "Move along, don't block the way. Go back to work." The pain in my calf reminded me this wasn't a dream. Alara was wearing a custom-made evening gown, looking both elegant and beautiful. The man holding her arm was dressed in an expensive suit, looking like a wealthy playboy. Lyra released sky lanterns to celebrate her first love's birthday and make Lysander happy. My phone still had a text message from Alara. "Husband, a customer gave me a $50 tip today. I bought you the chicken legs you like. 6 years ago. I was falsely accused of stealing something, but Alara happened to pass by and cleared my name. We both liked each other very much and naturally got married and had children. Later, she failed in her business and owed 2 million yuan. I worked tirelessly to help her repay the debt. In the end, I realized that all the deep feelings I thought she had for me were just a ploy. I couldn't help but shed tears. Fearing she might see me, I hurriedly ran away. Thinking of the broken razor at home, I went to the supermarket. A 20 yuan razor could shave cleanly, but I felt it was a bit expensive, so I only bought one for 9 yuan and 90 cents. When I got home, I saw my son struggling with his homework. "Dad." He pulled out a crumpled 5 yuan note from his pocket and said proudly, "This is the money I earned by picking up cardboard boxes after school. Take it to Mom." This child goes out every day after school to pick up cardboard boxes to sell, saving money to help Alara pay off her debts. Seeing my son's innocent face, my heart ached. "Don't go pick up cardboard boxes anymore." My son looked confused. "Why?" I opened my mouth, feeling like there was a lump in my throat. After a moment, I asked, "If Mom and Dad get divorced, would you come with Dad?" My son froze and tears welled up in his eyes. "I don't want Mom and Dad to get divorced." Just then, the door suddenly opened and Alara returned. She was holding groceries and said cheerfully, "Honey, the spinach today is very fresh, and the shopkeeper gave us a discount of 3 yuan. What a bargain!" Seeing the smile on her face, I was shaken. After knowing her for so many years, I never expected her to act so convincingly. During dinner, my son cautiously asked, "Mom, my toothpaste is almost gone. Can you buy me a new one?" Alara frowned. "Already, our family isn't well off. You need to use it sparingly." My son lowered his head, tears falling into his bowl, but he was already accustomed to this way of being taught. I noticed the clothes he was wearing. The sweater was pilled and had been mended, which made my heart ache. After dinner, I bathed my son and then Alara pulled me out of the room. "Today is your birthday." I remember actually, it's pretty interesting. Lysander and I share the same birthday. Alara pulled out a watch and handed it to me. "This is your birthday gift. Take a look and see if you like it." I'd seen this watch at the market before. It was a counterfeit of a big brand, not even worth $50. She could afford to give Lysander a sports car worth tens of millions. Yet she wouldn't even give me a genuine watch. In her eyes, I'm just a worthless man. I felt something break inside me, and I suddenly threw the watch into the trash can. "Thaddeus, what's wrong?" Alara looked heartbroken and quickly picked the watch out of the trash can. "You know how expensive this watch is. I spent $46 on it." I was about to speak when her phone rang. Alara answered the call, and when she heard the other person speak, she glanced at me, looking a bit uneasy. "All right, I'll be right over." After hanging up, she told me to go buy toothpaste for her son. After Alara left, I also went out. Actually, I used to study painting and had been accepted into an art academy abroad. However, to help Alara pay off her debts, I had to give up that opportunity. During the day, I work as a security guard, and at night, I also deliver takeout. Maybe because I was too distracted, I accidentally bumped into a flower bed. The entire electric scooter fell to the ground, and the food delivery items were scattered everywhere. I hurriedly got up from the ground, saw that my arm was bleeding profusely, and rushed to the hospital to register. The nurse said that all the doctors were busy and told me to go to another hospital. Just as I was about to leave, I heard Alara's voice coming from inside. I walked over. I saw Lysander sitting on the hospital bed, holding his head and saying, "Alara, my head hurts so much." Alara grew anxious and started yelling at the group of doctors. "If you can't figure out why Lysander's head hurts, none of you are leaving today." I heard the nurse beside me say, "Lysander is fine, but Alara is just worried," and called all the doctors to check on him. Alara had just spent tens of thousands of dollars on expensive herbs to help Lysander recover. My mind was in chaos. I looked down and saw my arm covered in blood, and tears started streaming down my face. Despite the pain, I went to another hospital. The doctor quickly stopped the bleeding and told me to get a CT scan. I shook my head and said, "No, thanks." A CT scan would cost hundreds of dollars, and I couldn't afford it. Because I didn't deliver the takeout on time, the customer complained about me. I was called in by my supervisor for a talk. "Thaddeus, what's going on? If you don't want to work here, don't waste my time." I lowered my head and said, "I'm sorry. I fell off my bike, so I was late with the delivery. I promise I won't do it again." The supervisor was a woman in her 40s. She walked toward me, and her gaze made me feel uneasy. "If you want me to give you another chance, I can consider it." Her hand rested on my shoulder. "If you accompany me tonight, I can help you keep your job." I felt both angry and scared and pushed her hand away forcefully. "Don't even think about it," she tried to pull me into the break room. I was so scared I turned pale and struggled to escape. Because of my resistance, she found an excuse to fire me and deducted my entire month's wages. I cried for a long time outside before going home. As soon as I walked in, Alara came over and saw the bandage on my arm. "What happened to your hand? Let me see." I dodged her hand and coldly asked, "Did you buy toothpaste for our son?" She looked a bit embarrassed and said, "I forgot." All the pent-up emotions welled up inside me, and I couldn't help but burst into tears. Alara thought I was crying because she forgot to buy toothpaste, so she came over and hugged me. "Dear, I'll definitely go buy it tomorrow. Don't be upset. I love you." If it had been before, hearing her say that, I would have happily hugged her and forgiven her immediately. But now, I only felt that her words were a bit ironic. Deep down, I knew that the person she loved wasn't me. The next day was the weekend. My son held up a poster and asked, "Mom, everyone says this movie is really good. I want to watch it too. Can we go?" Alara frowned and refused, saying, "No, movie tickets cost several dollars. That's too expensive." I muttered, "He's already this old and hasn't been to the movies yet. Can't we take him once?" Alara remained silent for a moment before finally agreeing reluctantly. "All right, I'll take you to the movies tonight." My son's eyes lit up, and he excitedly shouted, "Great, great, Mom's taking me to the movies." Seeing him so happy, I couldn't help but smile. This was his first time going to the movie theater, and he took it very seriously, wearing his favorite sneakers. Although the soles were cracked, he still cherished them. At 7 o'clock in the evening, my son and I arrived at the movie theater entrance. We waited for a long time, but Alara still hadn't arrived. It was very cold outside, and I saw my son's little face turn pale from the cold, which broke my heart. I called Alara several times, but she didn't answer. Suddenly, I saw a Rolls-Royce slowly pull up across the street. Alara got out of the car, one arm around Lysander, the other holding her son, looking like a happy family. My son saw them too. He rubbed his eyes and asked, "Dad, is that Mom?" I took my son toward them, but we were stopped by the security guard at the entrance. He said, "You can't go in. The cinema has been booked by Alara." My breath caught in my throat. and I couldn't hold back my emotions anymore. I pushed my son forward and rushed inside. The security guard pushed us back. My son stood up straight and said, "The person who bought this cinema is my mom. We can go in." The security guard looked at me and my son with disdain. "Don't you look at yourselves. You dare to claim to be Alara's family. Get out." I looked at Alara inside, still getting tickets, and immediately called her. Alara was about to answer when she heard Lysander say something. So she put the phone back in her bag. I looked down at my son, his little face covered in tears. I asked him, "Shall we go home?" He replied with red eyes, "No, I want to wait for Mom to come out." He insisted on waiting for Alara, so I had no choice but to wait with him. Suddenly, it started raining heavily. I hugged my son and hid in a corner. The cold wind blew and the rain fell, and my son and I were shivering from the cold. While we were waiting, I saw Lysander's WeChat post. "No matter how many years pass, you will always be my warm haven." In the photo, Lysander was holding his son, holding hands with Alara, and watching a movie comfortably together. His son looked energetic, wearing a warm-down jacket, clearly well cared for. My son, however, was wearing an old cotton coat. During his recent physical exam, the doctor had mentioned he was malnourished. I scrolled through his posts again. I learned that Alara had taken Lysander and his son to a children's restaurant for lunch. That restaurant was somewhere my son had always wanted to go, but he had asked her several times, and Alara had always said it was too expensive and refused to go. The table was filled with my son's favorite foods and toys. I held my son tightly, tears streaming down my face. More than 2 hours later, Alara finally emerged with Lysander and his son. My son excitedly called out, "Mom, Mom," but his voice was drowned out by the rain. Lara didn't hear him. She was holding Lysander's son's hand and walking toward the car. I was very anxious and shouted desperately, "Alara, Alara." Just as Alara was about to turn around, Lysander's body leaned over and rested against her. I twisted my ankle. Alara immediately helped him into the car. Lysander looked at me and smiled smugly. Once they were in the car, it drove away. My son suddenly let go of my hand and ran after it. I hurried after him. Alistair. My son ran after the car, but he ran too fast and fell to the ground. I was startled and quickly picked him up. His little hands and forehead were scraped. I asked anxiously, "Does it hurt?" Through the rain, my son watched the car drive away, his sadness replaced by determination. He hugged my neck and said, "Dad, I don't want Mom anymore." I immediately understood what he meant. Back home, I helped my son tend to his wounds, then began packing our bags to leave. Just as I got into the taxi, I saw Alara returning. I asked my son, "Do you want to say goodbye to her?" My son shook his head, his expression looking mature, as if he had grown up overnight. "No need, Dad." I told the driver, "Let's go." Alara returned home to find the house dark. She suddenly remembered that she had planned to take me and my son to the movies tonight. She rushed to the cinema, only to find it was across the street from where she had been earlier. She didn't have time to think, so she went inside and searched everywhere but couldn't find me or my son. She took out her phone to call me, but it showed that the call couldn't be connected. She immediately thought I hadn't paid the phone bill, and the phone was disconnected. When she returned home, she turned on the lights and found that many things were missing, leaving her feeling confused. She tapped her head, realizing she had intended to go to the movies. However, Lysander had called earlier saying Percival wanted to eat at a children's restaurant, so she put everything else aside and took them both to eat. In the afternoon, Percival said he wanted to watch a movie again. She couldn't get tickets, so in the end, she just bought the entire cinema for convenience. Alara couldn't get in touch with her at all and was so worried she couldn't sleep all night. The next day, she received the divorce agreement I had sent. Seeing the 5 words on it, her eyes widened in shock. She couldn't believe I wanted to divorce her. No, this must be a mistake. She tore up the divorce agreement in a fit of panic. Her phone rang and she thought it was me, so she answered immediately. "Husband, Lysander's voice paused for a moment on the other end of the phone. "Elara." "It's me." Elara sounded a bit down. "Is something wrong?" Lysander asked. "Percival said he wants to go to the museum tomorrow. Can you come with us?" Elara didn't say anything. Since Lysander returned with their son, she had never refused any of his requests. Because after they had argued and broken up years ago, Lysander, in a fit of anger, married a woman he didn't love. Their marriage was unhappy, and he was even beaten by his wife, leading him to divorce her and return to the country to find her. Therefore, she felt deeply guilty toward them, believing that everything was her fault and wanting to make amends. But now, she didn't want to deal with any of it. "I don't have time." Elara had never refused Lysander before, which made him feel a bit wronged, but he had to pretend to understand. What happened before? She had found Lysander's voice gentle and pleasant, but now it sounded irritating and harsh, and she hung up with a sharp click. "Elara searched everywhere for me and, after learning I had been working part-time at an auction, rushed over. A colleague told her I had quit." "When did you quit?" The colleague mentioned the exact time, and Elara vaguely recalled that day. She had released sky lanterns here, taken photos, and given Lysander a sports car. Could it be that she immediately asked the manager to check the surveillance footage? Now I understand the truth. No wonder she demanded a divorce and left with our son. After discovering she was my wife, the colleague said angrily, "If you're so rich, why let Thaddeus work here as a security guard? Do you know how hard he works every day to earn extra money? He took on many tough jobs." That manager always found excuses to order him around. Every time Thaddeus resisted, the manager would shout at him, making us all feel so sorry for him. Elara clenched her fists in anger. "I've suffered so much outside, and she doesn't know a thing." She hurriedly went to find the manager and angrily asked, "Why are you bullying Thaddeus?" The manager was sweating profusely and nervously said, "Elara, I didn't know Thaddeus was your husband. Please spare me." Elara grabbed her by the collar, pushed her to the ground and started beating her, even using a knife, causing blood to flow. If it weren't for the other staff members stopping her, the manager might have been seriously injured. Her colleague scolded her. "If you really love Thaddeus so much, why didn't you do something earlier? Stop pretending." Elara seemed not to hear them and returned home distractedly. She sat on the ground, feeling helpless. Seeing a half-empty packet of instant noodles on the table, she picked it up and noticed the expiration date had passed. She had been eating it every day but couldn't bring herself to finish it all at once. She covered her face in anguish, deeply regretting her decision. She shouldn't have listened to her mother, who thought I was a money-hungry person. She had wanted to test me, so she pretended to be bankrupt from a failed business venture and asked me to help her pay off her debts. Little did she know that this test would last 6 years. After all these years, she had come to understand my true character and wanted to be honest with me. But she didn't know how to start, so she kept hesitating until now. Suddenly, there was a sound at the door. Elara thought it was me and my son returning, and she excitedly stood up. But when she saw that it was Lysander entering, the light in her eyes vanished instantly. "You stink." Lysander covered his nose. "How could you live here?" Seeing the disgust on his face, Elara felt even more heartbroken. "Yes, we've been living in this small place for 6 years, and I've never complained once." Lysander asked her, "I've been calling you lately. Why didn't you answer?" Elara replied indifferently, "Let's not contact each other anymore." Lysander looked confused. "Why, Elara, what did I do wrong?" Elara looked at Lysander's expression and felt uncomfortable. "I don't want Thaddeus to misunderstand our relationship." Mentioning my name made Lysander very angry. "He thinks I'm just an ordinary person who doesn't deserve to be compared to him, a rich playboy. Are you going to abandon me for him?" "Elara, remember, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have rushed into marriage and then divorced. It's all your fault I've become this way. You have to take responsibility for me." Elara's expression changed instantly. "Is that true?" She slowly approached Lysander. How long do you plan to keep lying to me? She had already sent people to investigate Lysander and discovered that he was a two-timing cheat. Back when Lysander was with her, he betrayed her and even got another woman pregnant. After they had a fight, he used that as an excuse to marry someone else abroad. Unbeknownst to him, that woman later fell in love with someone else and chose to leave him. With no other options, he returned to the country to make Elara his backup plan. Lysander was panicking, emotionally distraught, crying like a girl. Just then the bodyguard walked in. "Elara, we found this video." Elara took the phone from the bodyguard. "In the video, I was being stopped by security at the movie theater entrance with my son." Lysander looked nervous and reached out to take the phone. "Don't look." Elara dodged his hand and continued watching the video, seeing herself and her son chasing after the car, with her son falling to the ground. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed tightly, and blood kept flowing. Why didn't she notice someone chasing the car from behind? Because at that moment, she was completely focused on Lysander and his son. Lysander said he had sprained his ankle, and Percival had been insisting she carry him. She was busy taking care of the other men and children, completely ignoring her own husband and son. The bodyguard looked at Lysander and continued, "Elara, we also learned that Lysander instructed the security guards to drive the lady and the young master away." Lysander's eyes darted around and he hurriedly said, "It wasn't me, they're framing me." Lara was furious and slapped Lysander across the face. "How dare you treat them like that?" Lysander was knocked unconscious by the blow. He couldn't believe Elara had lost her mind over him and his son. "Elara, Thaddeus left you. Why are you blaming me? This is all your fault. It was you who pretended to be poor to deceive him. It was you who took the initiative to be kind to us. When did I ever force you?" The blood drained from Elara's face. "That's right. The most despicable person is her. I'm sorry to Thaddeus. I'll go apologize to him. It's not your place to harm him." As soon as she finished speaking, Elara prepared to leave. Lysander hurriedly grabbed her foot. "Don't do this, Elara. Don't treat me like this. Don't you remember how happy we were before? Can we go back to the way we were? I'll have Percival call you Mom, and he'll be very filial to you when he grows up." Elara kicked him away. "Get out of here. Lysander, you'll regret this. Now I'm living with my parents and my son. 6 years ago, my parents initially opposed my marriage to Elara, but I insisted on being with her. So even though we faced many difficulties later on, I dared not tell my parents, fearing it would worry them. In the end, my parents were right. They didn't blame me for the divorce. They just told me to rest and take care of myself. Back then, I gave up painting for Elara, but now I've started again. My son has started a new kindergarten. At first he wasn't used to it, but he's adapted now and made several friends. He often brings them home to play. I bought them some sweets and drinks, and they had a wonderful time. Under Elara's influence, my son had become very introverted and insecure, but now he's becoming more outgoing and lively every day. It seems that without Elara, our life would be even better. One day, the gallery owner called me, saying someone liked my paintings and was willing to pay a high price for them. I was surprised and rushed to the gallery, where I unexpectedly saw Elara. I quickly realized that she had come to find me to buy my painting. "I don't sell my paintings." Elara stared at me and asked in a low voice, "How have you been lately?" I showed no expression and asked, "Are you here to talk about divorce?" Elara shook her head. "I came to apologize to you. I'm truly sorry." I didn't want to say more and turned to leave. Lara reached out to stop me and said, "I really love your paintings. Can you sell them to me?" I refused firmly. "Anyone can buy my paintings, but you don't deserve them." In the past, I had worked as a security guard to help her pay off her so-called debts. She would never understand the pain I went through back then. Elara looked guilty. I know I was wrong. 6 years of deception. Does she think a simple "I'm sorry" can fix everything? Elara continued, I know you misunderstood my relationship with Lysander. We're not what you think. He was just acting pitiful in front of me to make me feel sorry for him. I've long since lost any feelings for him. I just feel like his current state is somehow my fault. I interrupted. Elara, I'm not stupid. I know what you feel for Lysander. Whether it's love or pity. Elara said anxiously. I admit that at first I still had some lingering feelings for him, but later I realized what my true feelings were. But I really don't love him anymore. I just gave her a cold smile. Whether you love him or not has nothing to do with me. I just want to divorce you and get the divorce papers as soon as possible. Elara said excitedly, I absolutely refuse to divorce you. You're my husband and you always will be. I was just as firm. This marriage has to end. After saying that, I walked out of the gallery and drove to the kindergarten to pick up my son. The kindergarten gates opened on time, and my son came out with his teacher. Rushing into my RMTK's daddy, I smiled slightly and said, Grandma made you something delicious. Let's go home, great. But as soon as he turned around, he saw Elara, and his smile vanished instantly. Elara's eyes turned red as she stared at him and said, Alistair, why didn't you call me Mom? My son reluctantly called out, Mom. Seeing how coldly her son treated her, Elara felt deeply hurt. He hadn't been like this before. She quickly forced a smile and said, Mom bought the movie theater. Now we can go watch movies every day. My son looked confused and asked, Mom, you said you bought the movie theater for the other kids. Why are you saying it's for me now? Elara was at a loss for words. She wanted to explain but didn't know where to start. She regretted pretending to be poor. She had told so many lies for this. And in the end, she had lost both her husband and her child. Alistair, do you like the amusement park? Mom will buy it for you. The boy shook his head and said, No, Mom. Elara didn't expect her son to react this way. How can you not want it? I know you're angry with Mom. Can Mom apologize to you when I first came back? I thought my son was just being stubborn with Elara, but that wasn't the case. He no longer expected his mother's love. My son said seriously, Mom, I know you don't like me. It's okay. You can go like other kids. I have Dad, and that's enough for me. Elara's body trembled slightly, as if she had lost all her strength. I told my son to go play with his classmates for a while. After he had gone, I said to Elara, You saw it too. Our son is disappointed in you. You should leave. Don't disturb him anymore. Elara glanced at our son, then lowered her head dejectedly. Thaddeus, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lied to you. She had thought she could handle everything, but now, facing me and our son, she felt powerless. I nodded. I understand. Elara looked up at me. Do you forgive me? I laughed coldly. You pretended to be poor for 6 years and caused me so much pain. You actually expect me to forgive you? Elara's eyes filled with tears, and she choked out, I know nothing I do can make up for the harm I've caused you, but I really want to make it up to you. Please give me a chance. Don't give up on me, okay? I stared at her coldly and said, Elara, if I hadn't met you at the auction that day, how long did you plan to deceive me? 10 years or 20 years? Did you plan to keep it from me forever? Elara said nervously, No, I've wanted to tell you for a long time, but I was afraid that once I did, I'd lose you. I laughed. Lara, your excuses sound nice, like you really love me, but you think I'd believe you. There are no secrets in the sunlight. When we first met, you lied to me, and you should have known you'd lose me. Looking at Elara now, I feel more at peace and calm. My life is still long. I can't stay by her side forever. You don't love me, the person you love is. No, the person I love is you. Elara hurriedly interrupted me. Thaddeus, 6 years ago, you knew I was poor. Yet you chose to be with me and were willing to endure hardships together. You gave up so much for me. I'm human. I can feel who cares about me. I love you. In the past, I wasn't good enough to you, but from now on, I'll cherish you more. I scoffed. If you truly loved me, you wouldn't stand by and watch me work myself to the bone every day just to make money, enduring so much humiliation. If you truly loved me, you wouldn't be so generous with Lysander while being so stingy with me. neglecting me and our son time and again for their sake. You don't deserve to say you love me. It's utterly repulsive. Elara stood there, frozen in place. I ignored her, walked over and ruffled my son's hair, saying, "Let's go home and eat." My son nodded, took my hand, and led me toward the house without glancing back at Elara. Once we were home, I asked my son, "Your mother came to find you. Do you want to go with her?" My son shook his head and said, "I just want to be with Dad." That evening, our family was watching TV when the doorbell suddenly rang. My mother went to answer the door and saw Elara standing outside. "You dare to come here." My parents were furious upon seeing her and grabbed brooms to drive her away. Elara didn't get angry. She spoke sincerely, "Mom and Dad, please forgive me. I never expected her to come all the way to my house." Elara said many kind words, but my parents didn't listen at all and scolded her harshly. She didn't say a single word in defense, and her humble demeanor made it seem like she truly loved me. Elara had people deliver many gifts to her house every day, for me and the children. These gifts were all precious items I had never seen before, including many luxury brand items. The gifts for the children were also quite nice, supposedly bought abroad. However, the children didn't seem particularly excited about them. Instead, they appeared quite calm. I knew he had waited a long time and had already given up. Elara also bought a spacious apartment for me and my son, complete with a driver and a nanny. I didn't refuse this offer. My son deserves to live in a better house and enjoy a better life. My career is also gradually improving. Many clients like my paintings, and I can earn a decent income from painting each month. When Elara came to find me again, I already had another woman by my side. She was introduced to me by my parents as a potential match. Her family background is good, and she treats me and my son very well. Even before we officially confirmed our relationship, she had already given my son many gifts. I told her not to spend so much money, but she smiled and said it was nothing, even for a friend's child. Thinking back to how harsh Elara had been to my son, I felt even more that she wasn't a very good person. Elara stared at me in shock. "This is my girlfriend," I said with a smile. When I said girlfriend, Elara seemed deeply shaken, took a few steps back and asked in a trembling voice, "Are you joking?" She had never imagined I could fall in love with someone else. In her eyes, I had always belonged to her, no matter how she treated me, so she couldn't accept the idea of me having a girlfriend. She shouted, "The person you love is me. How could you be with someone else?" I was fed up with her clinging. "Lara, stop being so self-centered. I don't love you." In my eyes, she was already a thing of the past, completely forgotten. If it weren't for our son, I'd never want to see her again. "Thaddeus, tell me what I can do to get you back. I'm willing to kneel down and beg you, just don't leave me." Elara actually knelt down as she spoke. "Elara, there's no need for this. Even if you gave me your heart, I wouldn't be moved." Elara's face turned pale, and tears streamed down her cheeks. She cried bitterly as if she had lost the entire world. I watched her silently, feeling nothing, then turned and left. Heavy snow fell and Elara stood frozen in place, not moving an inch. Finally, she collapsed into the snow. I thought she was acting. After all, acting was second nature to her, and she had been performing for me for 6 years. After that, I never saw Elara again, only receiving the divorce papers she had sent through someone. She transferred a lot of her property to me. I didn't refuse, thinking I would leave it for my son. 3 years later, I remarried and fulfilled my dream of becoming a famous painter. Elara sent Lysander and his son to the countryside, forbidding them from returning to the city. I heard they would have to stay there for the rest of their lives. As for Elara, I heard she was ill and spent her days in the hospital. Her secretary called me, saying Elara wanted to see me and my son. I took my son to the hospital, but I didn't go inside. I waited outside. When my son returned, he told me, "Dad, Mom said she misses you very much and wants to see you to talk." I smiled and stroked his face. I didn't want to see her, My son didn't say much. He understood my feelings and took my hand, saying, "Dad, let's go home."